Io sono ben contenta di quello che è stato detto. Sono aspetti che gli urbanisti dicono da tantissimi anni, ma che si sono scontrati questi argomenti con la incapacità amministrativa di gestire questi aspetti. Quello che mi preme in questo momento aggiungere è che sulla trasparenza ci sono due elementi fondamentali. Uno legato alla piramide, cioè l'aspetto di base è importante collegarla alla trasparenza delle scelte, ossia l'effetto poi sul territorio di chi gestisce attraverso strumentazione e scelte tecniche comporta automaticamente che riqualificare, trasformare, i tipi di azioni che si possono fare in edilizia nascono da una scelta. Allora, si lavora molto, per esempio, nei dipartimenti di pianificazione, proprio su questo aspetto, arrivare a definire una strategia urbanistica di governo del territorio di cui si capiscano gli input, le necessità e del perché si è fatto quel tipo di scelta. E quindi non arrivare a proporre e a presentare la scelta già avvenuta così com'è, ma fare in modo che la partecipazione entri nel gioco delle scelte e che ci sia una possibilità attraverso l'informatica, attraverso una sistemazione di risorse e uomini all'interno delle strutture amministrative, affinché quindi la gente, la popolazione e gli operatori soprattutto economici possano aver chiaro il disegno di dove sarà la trasformazione, la riqualificazione, eccetera. E questo è il primo aspetto, quindi trasparenza anche delle scelte. Seconda cosa è il principio per cui quella banca dati che è fondamentale, che ci fa sempre combattere tra chi la vede come un sistema informativo geografico all'inglese o all'americana e invece una trasposizione di sistema informativo territoriale di governo, quindi con l'implosione anche di ragionamenti di scelte e strategie, poter connettere ai dati di base scientifici, sia catastali, sia di tutti ogni ordine e grado che abbiamo sentito, anche di quelle scelte che nelle mappature dovrebbero risultare, in modo tale che si possa capire tecnicamente qual è il ruolo e le possibilità di agire su un immobile o su un'area, non solo per quello che è in quel momento o dal lato fiscale, ma anche su quello che è la strategia futura su quelle aree. Non parliamo poi del problema appunto della qualità della città che passa da qual è l'area pubblica, qual è l'uso che se ne fa di alcune aree e quindi questi aspetti dovrebbero essere inclusi, non più soltanto un ragionamento di proprietà privata ma anche di proprietà pubblica. Grazie.
Grazie signora. Jonathan, we look forward to your comments. If you want. You have any comments?
Thank you. May I first of all say that, start my remarks by saying I am a great believer in transparency. But as a result of the presentations, I feel that we need to decide how far transparency actually goes. Demir gave, I think, a very good presentation because he showed the properties that he actually owns and all the information that is there, and he also said that, of course, he's giving us that information, and nobody else, though, can access that information without his permission. Wendy's presentation, though, then went, I think, a lot further. It gave the impression that she was in favour of everything being, of course, appropriately recorded, tenancies, values, etc., and then used the expression, and that would be a great help to us, to we. I want to know, actually, who is we? That's number one. And I do generally have great concern that under the heading, we must be open and transparent, information that is personal to us, our own property information, details, everything we own, etc., I believe might well be recorded appropriately, but I think it needs to be kept under strict confidentiality, data protection, and the global we does not actually have access to it. So I would welcome the panel's views as to what is the line that we are wishing to move to under the heading of transparency.
Please go ahead. Yeah.
May I respond to that? Or?
Yes, yes.
Oh, sorry, was it crazy? I don't think it came over. My intention wasn't to say that everything should be open. There needs to be a differentiated approach to what is open. We need to have the information on the physical nature of our property as to whether it is clear who owns it or not. If they're private owners for personal use, then I would have thought it should not be open. But if you're talking about investment property transactions, who is purchasing and who is selling, this is important information. A differentiated approach that protects people's rights, personal rights, but at the same time leaves sufficient information that this is why I suggested we use categories for investors and categories for businesses, not even to say which businesses they are. So that there should be, it's a very valued aspect that we've got private rights that are there. Have I answered that, or?
There are also other people. Who wants to say anything? Would you like also to make some comments?
Well, I would like also to add comment on that, who are they, or something like that, yes? So I had the chance to speak during the lunch with some people, yeah? So, no, and they told me, but yes, but no, the banks, they're greedy. So let us help them to be greedy also in the future. Is that what are we doing? So from my point of view, I think that what I presented, that there it was the development in the land administration in general, which helps a lot of countries which were in transition period and so on, to set up the standards, to go to transparency, to go to the security, to promote the security of tenure, to change themselves to be able to support market economy. Those guys who are greedy, they have to change themselves. That's out of the question. Yeah, thank you.
Can I just add in? I think who are we? I think that the availability of information in a summary basis is important, and it gives ideas of trend or whatever, not necessarily down to the individual's information. We have all the problems, of course, of data protection, and the alternate as well is the increasing use of freedom of information, that it's very difficult to hide, and certainly in the UK, where our members of Parliament were very keen to have freedom of information, they may wish now that they hadn't particularly gone as far as they have done, but it's very difficult, and I think you have to totally be able to protect your own personal information, but the availability and transparency of summary information does help the market and help people decide, not the very fact of what my mortgage is, but in general what the average is for people on mortgage. So I think who are we is, we say the royal we, the larger we.
This seems a very hot topic now. Steve has comments, and then Helge.
Hello, everyone, again. Actually, I think this is actually a very simple issue. None of us here need to make the decision on what Albania should give to their people, or what data Nigeria should have transparent to their people, or any other country. It's a social decision. It's a governmental decision. The people in a given, like in Germany, the system is not very transparent. And that's the way the German people and the German government want it to be. Now, increased transparency tends to decrease risk and tends to increase values. So it's a social choice, and tied into that is an economic choice. But it's still a choice of the people and the government that is going to be affected by it, not our choice on what we want to impose on them. I think it's very simple. Thank you.
Thank you. Helgi?
First of all, I think the issue of access to information and transparency fits very well into my imagination of this document and where I believe ECN, VPLA and REM could add value to what is already there. So I would encourage you very much to work further on that, establishing what you might say standards for statistical data, and also standards for what should be available on more individual data. There are certainly a range of options here which are should be set by each country, but there are also some general standards which I think we should be ready to spell out. It has also to do with fighting corruption. And I think we have to accept that when you enter the market, land market as an owner, as a lender, you should also be ready to disclose some information. If you're not ready to that, stay away. So I would very much advocate that this is an item, this is a subject that should be well spelled out in these guidelines and both establishing principles and more detailed advices to the countries and standards which we then could be applied when we are benchmarking the countries. I think access to information and transparency is an issue which the World Bank in their World Bank Doing Business reports, which have great impact to improving the services to landmark, also could be a topic. Whether it's done by the World Bank or done by a benchmarking by ECE or other bodies, I don't know, but I think it could definitely help. And for that, we need standards.
Yeah. So this was a very sensitive issue, and it's important, it seems, to ensure the right balance between public access to information and the protection of people's privacy. Any other comments on any other aspects of transparency?
I just want to make a remark, and it may be regarded as light-hearted, but I think with transparency, I think we should be pushing on an open door. I mean, it is the zeitgeist, the way everything is going. A lot of our own financial information is available through credit rating agencies and others. And my little story is this. Having left one company, I applied for a mobile telephone, and I was refused because my credit rating wasn't good enough. So I went to the rating agencies and I asked them, why is this? And they said, well, there's nothing against you in the register, but basically there's very little information. So I phoned my private bank and asked them, why is this? You know, how is it possible that I've been refused? And they said, well, we're a private bank. We give no information whatsoever on your financial position to third parties. You're totally secured. Therefore, my financial position is opaque as far as the credit rating agencies are concerned. Therefore, I do not exist, and therefore I cannot be extended credit. So maybe that's the way that the property markets might go if we don't have full transparency. I'm sorry if this is a bit light-hearted, but there we are.
Many aspects.
But it's your choice after all.
Yeah.
I think as well we have to add, you asked the question of, and we said how much transparency, but you know, with transparency comes responsibility, and I think we have to emphasise that as well.
We have about 5
minutes.
5 minutes more. Last questions.
My name is Giovanni Bottini. I'm president of Cubati Italia, an association for construction, urbanism, and environment. I'm an architect. Let me say I was pretty much impressed by the details that are available via internet about the properties in Croatia. Though I don't think that is transparency, that's just an information that is pretty much available to anybody playing with internet and frequently getting to the wrong conclusion about the status of your personal finance. On the other hand, I would be much more interested in knowing what eventually the sister or the cousin or whatever who is employed in the administration and has power to decide what will be of that land or property will decide in the future. That would be transparency, in my opinion. I want to know what is, and that also goes with what my colleague architect said. Management, political management of the territory, that must be transparent. What will be in the future? So I can take my decisions and I will know what will be affected, how my property will be affected. An example. A subway station next to my house. My value grows. The value of the land all around grows. No subway, I lose money, I lose value. That's very simple. Well, they build a nuclear plant next to my house. I lose completely my values. This is the transparency. Let me know what will be in the future and make it good for a reasonable number of years. That, for me, is transparency. Thank you.
Well, I fully agree. I was speaking about the transparency in the domain of land administration. It means those things: value of the land, location of the land, how it looks like, who is the owner, and so on and so on. Of course, I think, same as you, that, for example, urban plan documentation, transparency in that. So availability of the data when it comes to urban planning, for example, is very important. Not only that, I can I can say that there is the Cadastre 2014, a booklet by FIG, which is speaking about legal regimes which are established on the ground and which are not registered, and in fact so-called public rights. So these are all very important things, all very important informations, maybe data the lady was speaking about, which are relevant for the price but also for the future. I agree with you. So transparency is needed wider for the wider set of the data about the property. Yes, I agree with you.
Any more questions or suggestions? Please.
Lena Swan, London Property and Title. My question is to your lady on the panel. Are you suggesting that with providing all this transparency, the way the market is developing in the future is, for example, I'm sitting here in Rome and I wish to purchase property in Moscow and I finance that through an American bank. Do you envisage that the transparency which you are suggesting will assist in this matter? And let's suppose that I buy this investment and I spend some time in Moscow and then I move on to another country where I eventually die. How is all that going to assist into this transaction? Because clearly with the market expanding and people are investing their spare capital in different jurisdictions, and something that we haven't really touched on, it seems to me, is the international legal framework, which varies from country to country, and how do you protect not only the data information, but how you deal with all these financial instruments and protect the ownership rights?
What you're talking about is the fact that the world is going global. And if you wish to purchase a property in Moscow, or if you then having data and also having information on the legal situation in the country that you want to purchase would be appropriate. And what I'm recognizing through this thing is if we look back not very many years, we wouldn't be able to have this discussion. This discussion is here because we have technology that allows us to see that data, for us all to see that data, and it's also happening because of globalization. And I think that what technology can do is it can facilitate what people want to do anyway.
But how do you guarantee the ownership rights? I can see that the information clearly is going to facilitate quicker purchase. and so on, and provide the information and so on, but how do you actually guarantee that the transaction will be legal and or you have the right.
Well, I'm not
sellers
suggesting
and
in
so
any
on.
way that people should purchase property online.
No, it wasn't a question. That's not the question. I didn't think you would. Solicitors will facilitate that, but what I'm just saying, the solicitor cannot guarantee. So if you're buying, for example, in the United States or Canada or Australia and all these sort of countries, you have something, a financial instrument of insurance called title insurance that will guarantee and so on. So I'm just saying that providing all this information, are you suggesting that by providing all this information it will make it so much easier, but not necessarily guaranteeing the transaction?
I don't think you can guarantee. I mean, I think that what is happening here is that we recognise that title and property, clear property ownership is at the basis of everything. So if you are intending to purchase in a country where this is not so clear, even if there is information there, then that's not going to take away the need for very serious professional advice at every point.
Excellent answer, Wendy. I think nothing can be guaranteed more than 100%, not even that we're going to have a coffee break in 1 minute from now. So with this, I give to the chairman to conclude.
Yeah, and I think a lot of these issues will be discussed as we have other sessions that go beyond. We're talking just about the transparency and information, the use of that. There will be the opportunity the rest of the day and tomorrow to discuss that. And I'd like to thank all the speakers for excellent presentation and for coordinating it. I'd equally like to recommend the booklet that either you have or it's available, that was written by Steve Williams but published by Wendy's company. It's a good little read, and I think it covers a lot. Written about a year ago, but was very prophetic of what was likely to happen. The other thing that's in your pack, which is something more heavy to carry home, is something that we commissioned in the UK a year or so ago on housing development, which is not really prescriptive of this is how the real estate market should be, but it's how the UK market is. And there may be some aspects in there that are just as appropriate to any other country. So I'd like to thank you all. We'll have a break for coffee and reconvene at 20 past. Thank you.